I find this Jonathan Kuminga situation with the Warriors very entertaining. I guess because I feel I can relate to Kuminga to some degree with what's going on here. And I think a lot of people could probably relate to him too in this situation. He wants to lead this team. He hates playing for his team. He doesn't like the coach. And he just wants a new start. I think a lot of us have been in that situation, whether or not we hate the school we went to or we hate the place we work at, that eventually we just wanted to get out, that you just want to leave. But maybe you have barriers that are making it hard for you to leave in whatever situation you're in. Maybe the financial situation is very difficult that you can't leave a job that you hate, because if you leave then you can't pay the bills, so you're stuck there until you can find another job and then just leave and bail on them essentially. But I think we've all been in that situation that there's just some places you hate being and you just want to leave in the worst way possible. And it's not always also about the money. You just want to get out of there, that you're willing to maybe even take a little bit less just to get out of that place. That's how much you hate it. It could be even just the stuff outside of work. Maybe you hate the neighborhood you live in. Maybe you hate the family you're in and you want to leave. So I think it's very relatable that just he wants to get a fresh start. He hates being in Golden State. I've read so many stories where he hates Steve Kerr. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like the system they run. That obviously they're going to run the system around Stephen Curry, and you had to find a way to adjust to that to complement him. And I don't think it's always easy to complement Curry. Like, you have to be a specific type of player. You either had to be a great shooter. I don't think there's any other way to complement him other than being a great shooter. If you're not going to do so well in that system. Granted, Jimmy Butler was able to succeed despite not being a great shooter. But then again, Jimmy Butler is a very efficient player. So I give him that. Kuminga hasn't achieved really that efficiency yet where he can complement to Curry effectively. It's very hard. He's not an easy guy to complement, especially if you're a young player, you're inexperienced. He's not the type of guy you actually want to team up with. So I can understand the frustration. And then you look at his teammates. It sucks to play with Draymond. I don't care what anyone says. Draymond, it has to be one of the most vile, rotten people in the league, just one of the nastiest people. And now you got Jimmy Buckets, who's also a malcontent. To play with two of those guys, to have a coach you hate, and also had to compliment an aging superstar. Not to say that Kuminga's better than Stephen Curry, obviously, but still, it's frustrating that you gotta help out this old geezer at the expense of your career. You're stunted to help him out. Kind of reminds me of the work environment where millennials, Gen Z have to be stunted career wise to help out Xers or boomers who are above them. Just it's a bunch of BS. So there's a lot of parallels to all this stuff, and he just wants to get out of there. I can't blame him. I think one way this is evident that he really wants to get the hell out of there is he rejected, I believe, a 2-year, $45 million deal by the Warriors, and he just said, "No, I don't want to be here. Just no, I just want to leave." It gets even more interesting when you hear that he's talked to Sacramento. He talked to their GM, I believe Scott Perry, and the assistant GM BJ Armstrong, along with Doug Christie. He's talked to them several times. He wants to be on their team badly. The Warriors are standing in his way in the sense because he's a restricted free agent. They can threaten a match, and they've been in talks with the Kings to do a sign and trade, but they've been also picky about that in the sense that they want the Kings to give up an unprotected first round pick that won't be lottery protected, which is stupid. Kuminga has potential, but he's not worth the unprotected lottery pick. That's just dumb. But the Warriors are asking a lot for a player that they don't really care about or have any use for being honest. Once Jimmy Butler joined the team later on last season, I felt Kuminga's role got reduced. So it's like they're trying to get a lot for a player that they don't value. And I think it also has to do with the fact that they realize now they made a mistake drafting him, that picking him 4 years ago was a mistake. And they're trying to rectify that by trying to get a lot in return for him when that's not even possible. I think this situation can get ugly. I find it interesting because Kuminga has the option of just accepting the qualifying offer from the Warriors, which would just be him signing for 1 year. And what's interesting about this qualifying offer, this applies to any rookie who accepts a qualifying offer, that there's a no trade clause in there. So Kuminga would have a no trade clause, and hence he would have the leverage while even playing for the Warriors. So it would be really stupid for them to even offer a qualifying offer to him in the sense because he would have the leverage in that situation. I just think the Warriors are taking this the hard way in the sense that they can't accept they made a mistake drafting this guy, and they're trying, like I said, to extract as much value out of him as possible. So I think it can get ugly, especially if Kuminga says, like, I'm just going to take the qualifying offer if you don't trade me, and I'm going to leave you next summer then. And if you think about it, the Kings are not pressured to really make this trade because they've already made a great impression on Kuminga in the sense that if the Warriors don't allow him to go there this summer, he can always go there next summer because they've already made it clear their intentions that they like him, they value him, they want him there. He could just wait a year and then sign with them. I think that's very possible. I think the Warriors have a huge chance of having egg on their faces for the way they're handling this situation. They should just accept their loss, trade him to Sacramento, get the protected first round pick and the role player, whatever role player the Kings are offering, and just move on. That's what they should do, but they probably won't because they are a stupid organization that has a lot of ego involved in this, that goes from their owner to their coach and to some of their players, for being honest. But that's all I have to say about this.